What do they put? Probably I'm bringing out the she's drawn. Is that? I wonder how long that's going to be. I feel it there. Put it on. And then we took the lap breakfast.
And then it ended up in the grass. Amazing what ground effects will do.
Welcome everyone to the Koenigsegg press conference. Thank you for coming. So it's with great pleasure I'm here today to show to you our latest creation and also one of the cars I'm mostly proud of ever having made, the 1-to-1. But let me start with the Regera, which has its American debut here at the New York Auto Show. It's a very unique car for a Koenigsegg or any brand, I would say, as it's probably the only combustion engine sports car that I know of that doesn't have a transmission at all. It's direct drive from the combustion engine to the rear wheels. That was only possible with help of electrification. So this was an idea I had personally 2 or 3 years ago, but it required some very unique electrical technology and batteries to work, and that just came available to us recently. So it was a big gamble to create a car with no gearbox, especially a sports car, to see how would the customer base receive it and think of it. And the response we have received is mind-blowing, really. And the car's characteristics went beyond my wildest dreams. It's really something very unique to drive and intuitive. And the last thing you think about when driving it is, I want to shift gear. So how does this work? It's directly connected, the engine is directly connected to the rear axle via final drive, so we have like one gear in the car. Then we have one electrical motor for each rear wheel of around 200 kilowatts each and 780 Newton meters of torque each. That gives us torque vectoring. It gives us electrical reverse. When we're reversing, we're just doing it with the rear axle motors. And it gives us forward propulsion. In combination with that, we have a 1200 horsepower twin turbo V8. It delivers, it's a 5-liter V8 twin turbo. It delivers 1200 horsepower of 91 octane fuel, so easily obtainable here in the US. And on that crankshaft, on that engine, we have another electrical motor with 400 Newton meters of torque and 160 kilowatts of power. So in total, the 3 electrical motors give around 720 electrical horsepower, and the combustion engine gives 1200 horsepower. So if you add this together, you get over the 1500 horsepower we state. It's more like 1800 horsepower. But the RPM, as everything is interconnected at the same RPM when the clutch is closed to the combustion engine, the power peak of the electrical motors is not the power peak of the combustion engine, which results in a huge torque swell. So we have around 1400 foot-pounds of torque from under 3000 RPM to over 6000 RPM, with a peak of almost 1500 foot-pounds of torque. Given that, we don't need gears. We have enough power. I mean, this car comes with traction control, ESP, ABS, all these modern safety systems to keep you on the road. But if you would turn them off and you have a dry road in a good condition and new tires, it's enough to spin the wheels from 0 to 150 miles per hour continuously. That's how much power you have everywhere. Over 150 miles per hour, you don't have enough power to spin the wheels in the drive. However, you have enough power to do 0 to 250 miles per hour in just over 20 seconds. It can do 0 to 400 kilometers per hour in 20 seconds. The 250 is just a little bit more, so it's just over 20 seconds. And we will give you an official number coming this summer when we will do some time runs. And that's about 10 seconds faster to 250 miles per hour than any other production car. And we only have one gear. So actually what happens at just over 250 miles per hour, we run into the rev limiter at 8,200 RPM in first gear. And we don't have a second gear to put in, so we can't go any faster. But what we decided was that to keep the car as light as possible and as compact and nimble as possible, we don't want to add things we don't need. And we believe that no one really needs to go very much faster than 250 miles per hour. So in a sense, you can say it's limited to 250 miles per hour. So saying that, it's probably not the fastest car in an endless straight line. There are probably other cars that can go faster, but no other car can go faster up to 250 miles per hour or in such a short distance as this car. So from our point of view, whoever gets to 250 first wins. That's the fastest, not the ultimate top speed. And we can actually reach 200 miles per hour in like 0.6 miles. And that's pretty much unheard of. So it's obtainable. If you have a racetrack with a long straight, you can go 200 miles per hour quite easily. And that's exciting and unusual, and it's obtainable. It's obtainable speed, it's obtainable power, it's controllable, it's direct through the electrical motors, the torque filling. So it's power in your hand like never before. Controllable, easily obtainable, massive power everywhere. So this is the first Koenigsegg where we have an idea to make it a little bit more luxurious. I mean, our cars are actually, even this one-to-one, which is race spec in many ways. It's good for daily driving. It has adaptable chassis, it has ride height adjustment, it has satellite navigation, it has Bluetooth telephone, it has automatic shifting function and so on. But still, at its heart, it's built for the track, to have maximum performance at the track. But this car was built to be the best road car you can imagine. So here we even have electrical seats with memory function. The whole body is fully robotized. It's the world's first fully robotized car body, regardless of car type. And I will show you a little bit of these functions. Let's see. So you don't actually have to touch anything to open or close the bodywork. It just comes up by, I'll show you the rear wing here as well. The rear wing is actually the first fully foldable, top-mounted active rear wing. What's important with the top-mounted side of things is that the underside of the wing is what gives downforce, not the top side really. So if you look at real racing cars, they're usually always top-mounted to maximize the wing area. So on the one-to-one, we have the world's first top-mounted active rear wing. That's a massive rear wing with a lot of downforce. But for this more elegant car, we decided to make the world's first top-mounted active, fully foldable rear wing. Just because we could, I guess. But it's also got the world's first fully robotized body. So everything can open and close with a touch of a button. It's got 4G or LTE connectivity. You have internet access. There's Apple CarPlay. Given Apple CarPlay, you have always the latest upgrades of maps and apps and functions like that. It's actually got cameras in the mirror, in the front screen, on the wing mirrors, and on the rear. So you can even have this top view when you're parking the car to make sure you don't hit anything. I think I mentioned it's got memory electrical seats, which is very unusual for a car like this, especially since it weighs just around 3,000 pounds. It's curb weight. It's very, very light for the power, the technology level, and what it is. We're building 80 of these cars over a 5-year period, and the first cars will be delivered this autumn, September, October, and we almost sold half of them in the first year we've just shown this car at car shows. So we're very excited to get into production and start really showing the customers what it is and what it can do. So that's the Regera. A little quickly about the one-to-one. This is really our pride and joy. It's a labor of passion. It was a car that everyone said was impossible to create. Here in the US, of course, you think mostly in pounds when it comes to weight and so on, but in Europe, where we're from, it's kilos, of course. And we always had a dream, and we heard other people saying the same thing. Imagine if you could make a car that has 1 kilo per horsepower. That would be amazing. So getting the weight down and the power up to have a 1 kilo or 1 horsepower per kilo ratio. And our power levels kept going up and our weight kept going down as we optimized the cars over the years with more carbon fiber, even carbon fiber wheels and these things. And we managed to find that magical combination. Actually, they are under 1,360 kilos curb weight, but that was the aim we put out when we came up with the main one-to-one. So we actually have more than 1 horsepower per kilo weight in these cars. We had to match that with handling and features to make it drivable. So together with Michelin, we developed a special version of the Pilot Sport Cup 2s. And these are road legal tires. And with the downforce package of this car that generates 600 kilos of downforce at 250 kilometers per hour, we can have 2 Gs in the corners. And last year, we had a little tour around the world with a one-to-one with our test car. And just driving basically show laps around the Suzuka track with passengers, we broke the lap record. The tires weren't new, the car wasn't made anything special for that, it was just showing off the car, and we broke the lap record. We flew the car back to Europe without changing the tires, went to Spa, which there was a driving event there, driving around customers, we broke the lap record. Of course, we already have the 0 to 300 to 0 kilometer per hour world record with the Regera R in 21 seconds, but this car could do 0 to 300 to 0 in 17.2 seconds, which was a new world record. So we beat our own record with that. And it was the first car in the world with 1 megawatt of power. This car now has 1.11 megawatts of power, but it's a little bit heavier and a little bit more luxury. But this is really, I would say, the pinnacle of our technology and something we're very proud of. There's only 6 ever made. That was the limited run we set out, plus 1 prototype. They all sold out even before we showed them 2 years ago. It's really become something of a legend, something we're very proud of. So thank you all for coming and listening to me and hearing about our cars and what we do, and I hope you will enjoy the show. And
I have a quick question.
You can come in for questions. Yes, please.
Do you have a direct mechanical link to the rear wheels? Is there a direct mechanical link, or is everything through the electric motors?
Yes, so the question from the lady here is there a direct link from the combustion engine to the rear wheels? Yes, maybe I forgot to mention that. What is very unique with this car is that if you drive on the highway, for example, at cruising speed, basically the electromotors are not doing anything. We're closing the hydraulic coupling to the combustion engine and driving the rear wheels from the combustion engine with no gearbox. And that has never happened before in any production car that we are aware of. That means we have 50% less transmission losses, because normally you have about half of the transmission losses in the final drive, which we still have, and the other half in the gearbox, which we don't have. And this solution is actually viable for normal production cars or even trucks. Imagine a truck with normally a 10 or 12 speed gearbox, but if you replace that with this direct drive system, you can drive fully electric in town, you accelerate out on the highway together electrically and the combustion engine, and when you reach your cruising speed, you just shut off the electrical system and run directly from the combustion engine to the rear wheels, thereby saving space and weight of the gearbox and cost, and instead having batteries and electrical motors for driving in town and having less transmission losses on the highway. So this is basically a general idea that works for a normal car, a truck, or a mega hypercar like this. So, thank you for coming and enjoy the show.